I beg you, for the love of God, will you please go? I'm firmly convinced that the government of Ireland are now an illegitimate government. A government not of the people, by the people and for the people, but a government of occupation. Having held a referendum that no one here wanted, and being utterly trounced in that referendum, it has now come to light from newly released government documents, thanks to the sterling efforts of Gript.ie, that the government was advised and was well aware that if they'd managed to get their way and had won the referendum, it would mean the effective end of Ireland's immigration system. The Department of Justice advised them strenuously that this would in all probability be the case. And I quote, "It is not an exaggeration to say that it will be extremely difficult and perhaps impossible to maintain a meaningful immigration system should the people accept these amendments." End quote. This information was deliberately and purposefully withheld from the Irish public, and the possible ramifications of a yes vote strenuously denied again and again by government ministers and government representatives and opposition leaders, most notably Justice Minister herself, Helen McEntee, and Minister for Integration, Roderick O'Gorman. Time and time again, in interview after interview, the Irish public were assured that these changes to our very constitution would have little to no effect on Ireland's immigration system. They lied to us. They deliberately tried to hoodwink the Irish people into making changes to our constitution that would have detrimental, if not catastrophic, effects on the very fabric of Irish society. The discovery of these documents and this outrageous perversion of the Irish democratic process would in any normal times lead to the downfall of the government of the day. The fact that the Irish mainstream media refuses to highlight this or even talk about it in any meaningful detail shows you exactly where we're at with regards to the mainstream media. But what's even worse is that despite the leader of the country, Leo Varadkar, stepping down, resigning his position, this ramshackle, corrupt, disingenuous government insists on ploughing on for the last few remaining months of its tenure. With a new vacuous tin pot leader at the helm, the same Minister for Justice, the same Minister for Integration, blatantly trying to ram through policies and legislation that they know full well from all the polling data that the majority of Irish people are vehemently opposed to. The much publicised hate speech laws that have made Ireland the laughing stock around the free world. Their insistence on us opting into the EU Migration Pact, even though we, along with Denmark, don't have to opt in at all. It's not like we don't have an ongoing crisis at the moment. But they don't seem all that bothered about that. They're far more concerned, it seems to me at least, with being the nodding dog of the EU, the pet poodle, get a pat on the head for being good boys and girls. Their utter failure to deal with the mass flood of illegal immigration into this country and the resettlement, the forced resettlement at the point of a police baton of unvetted single males into mostly working class areas and rural communities. This government has failed and miserably failed on a monumental scale. They have brought this country, this society, to, I believe, the brink of outright revolution. I have never before in my life witnessed or experienced such deep-seated, seething anger in the general population. They did this to us. No, my friends, this is not a government of the people, by the people and for the people. This is now a government of occupation, just as sure as if we were still being ruled from Westminster. They have lost the room. They have lost the support and the confidence of the general public, the Irish people, that they're supposed to serve. They have lost the legitimacy, the simple moral legitimacy that any democratic government must have. And what is worse, they know this. They know this. To my mind, they are not a legitimate government anymore. So on behalf of the vast majority of Irish people, I say in all sincerity, for God's sake, please go.